Hello, I'm Jared. That's Ben, and this is worth your time. We just watched Kong Skull Island. Now, Ben, I'm dying to know. You said you wanted some monster movies. You said you wanted some fun, just beer kind of movies. This is my pinnacle of beer kind of movie. What do you think of it?
I thought that it was not as good as you said it was.
What?
I really thought, don't get me wrong, it wasn't terrible, but it felt very mediocre.
Really?
Really.
Okay.
Okay, I'll break it down for you. It's called Kong, right? Kong Skull Island. Kong is not even like the main antagonist. The island is the main antagonist. Two, like, he's not even in it that much. Like, I don't like.
Well, that could have been said the same thing as
I
Godzilla.
don't
I
know.
mean, Godzilla was in the movie for like 10 minutes of a movie
I didn't
called
agree with
Godzilla.
Godzilla either. I
No, I
did
know.
not
I'm
agree
just
with
saying.
Godzilla either.
I'm just
I
saying
did. I
this.
just understand how a movie called Kong, the main enemy was skull crawlers.
Well, because Kong's never been the main villain of any of the stories. Kong's always been more of a like hero kind of
But
character, you know?
he always in this he felt like just like something that happens. He doesn't feel like he's actually part of it. It's weird. Like he's just the inciting incident and that's it. You know?
Okay.
Like he
Well, have you
kind of is
seen?
there.
I'm curious. Have you seen like the original King Kong from the 30s, or have you seen the Peter Jackson one from 2005?
I've seen that one, yeah.
Okay, so like it's always the same thing. Like big monkey fights other things and then likes the pretty blonde lady. Like
Well,
that's always Kong's story.
I know, and like, well, the 2005 one, it was actually about Kong. This one is like it was only about Kong for one of the characters, Samuel L. Jackson. That was the only character that was actually like Kong. All the other characters was just like they just gotta get off the island. They don't care.
Big monkey.
Yeah, big
That's what I
monkey.
like saying. Big monkey.
I don't know. I
Okay.
just
Well,
didn't
let me
find it
tell you
as
why. Let me
okay.
tell you
Okay.
why I like it. Okay? This movie is like as soon as you get on the island, it's action nonstop. Like from not only just Kong, like in that first opening scene with all the helicopters and stuff, but then like the giant freaking spiders, the giant freaking lizard thing, the giant squid. Like it's just nonstop. It feels like Jurassic Park almost, but like with just big monsters instead of dinosaurs. I don't know. I love it. And then the soundtrack too kind of helps. I'm a sucker for 70s music. So like hearing some of that music and then like having these chase scenes and then the cinematography too in some points. Oh my gosh. On point, dude. Like so good. I just this is my pinnacle of turn off your brain, have fun kind of movie.
See, I feel like this movie should have just been called Skull Island
Mm,
because that's what it was about. It was about the island. It wasn't about King Kong. The whole
yeah.
lead up was about getting to this mysterious island. The whole thing was about being trapped in this mysterious island. The whole point was getting off of this mysterious island. Kong was just kind of one of the monsters that was there. And
But
I
he
think
was
that's
king.
shut up. And I think that's what's holding me up is that like this is touted as the King Kong movie, and it's like he's in it, but like, is it really about him? I
I
mean,
feel
sure,
like it is.
he has a major role, but not really. The island has more of a role than him.
I mean, he's the main character, Like he is the one who fights the giant squid. He's the one who fights the helicopters in the beginning. He's the one who fights the scroll crawlers, Like it's his movie. It's never like, oh, it's following the giant squid the whole time or anything like that. And I mean, to be fair, the humans always have more of a role than the monsters in these
Okay,
movies.
but
They
that's like
do.
saying Jurassic Park T-Rex Land. It's like it's not about the T-Rexes. They have a major role in that movie, yet it's not about them. The same thing. It's called Jurassic Park. not Jurassic Park the T-Rex. It was just like I understand why it has to be King Kong,
Yeah.
but I feel like it just wasn't focused on him enough for a movie that
Well,
was touted
cause
as the King Kong movie.
well, you got to think too. Okay, the
And there
Peter
was like no
Jackson one.
resolution. He just kind of like, oh hey, and then it's over.
Well, cause they're not trying. I mean, cause in the other King Kong story, the only King Kong story, it's always they bring him back to New York. They do a big show. He climbs the World Trade Center. He dies, or no, climbs the Empire State Building and he dies. Like that's it. That's what happens to Kong. This, they're like, okay, we got to set this up so we can fight Godzilla. Like, let's leave him here, you know. Um, but what I kind of think of is, the Peter Jackson one came out in 2005. This is only 12 years later. If you give us the same King Kong story that you gave us last time, it's just a reboot. It's just like we've seen this all before. Like we just saw this 12 years ago. You know, this one, I feel like they were wanting to do more of just Skull Island, but nobody would have, not as many people would have like been like, oh, we gotta go see Skull Island. But when you put Kong in there, Kong Skull Island, it is more of like, oh, King Kong, yeah, let's go see that. That's what I kind of feel like they were trying to do.
And I do feel like it was part of like me going into this expecting King Kong because I mean we're watching all the MonsterVerse movies. It was like, oh yeah, this is the monster. When I should have been going into it with the thought of, oh yeah, this is about the island.
Yeah,
And I feel like I would have enjoyed it a lot more if I would have thought like that.
and you know what? Maybe because when I did first see this movie in theaters, I don't remember it liking it as much as I did. But the second time I watched it, I remembered I remembered liking it a lot more, and I enjoyed it just as much this time. I was like, yeah, this is dumb, this is fun, like this is just, and it's pretty intense. Like that scene. Well, I guess let's just go ahead and get into Worth Your Time, because I want to talk about some specific scenes. I definitely think it's worth your time. I have fun with this movie.
I think it's worth your time if you're like planning on going through the MonsterVerse. As a standalone movie by itself, it's kind of like, sure, if you like monster movies, but I don't know, it's kind of a maybe.
Okay. So one of the scenes that I'm like, dang, that's like kind of intense for this kind of movie is the scene where the freaking spider bamboo thing goes through that guy's mouth and like through him and then just picks it up. Like, oh my God, that's kind of intense for this guy. That's like a Saw scene or something. And then also where that one lawyer guy gets picked up by like the pterodactyl things,
Oh my
and then
goodness, just
like
chops
he's
his
just
arm
being
off.
torn, and then just chops the arm and freaking. I'm like, oh my God, this
See,
movie's
I
got some intense scenes in it.
we watched this movie after Godzilla, and this movie
Yeah,
definitely has a lot more campiness to it, if that makes sense.
yeah,
Um, and knowing that this is in the MonsterVerse, it feels a bit strange. Because Godzilla used to these big, arcing, ginormous events happening, and this is like, oh yeah, this guy gets picked up by some birds and get his arm like lopped off in a very cheesy, cartoony way, and the one guy gets flicked against a boulder.
hey, that was
Uh,
hilarious. That was
it
hilarious.
was.
When that guy freaking holds up the grenades. And I mean, like, you've seen that in so many movies. Like the guy goes out like a hero holding the grenades, but then just gets flicked, just set off. It's amazing, dude. I really love that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those things where it's just like it's a bit of a disconnect in the style, the pacing of it. And I understand they're two different movies, but they're supposed to be in the same universe. I'm really interested to see what it looks like when they come together.
Yeah,
Again, this suffers from the this is the first of this kind of thing. Like
yeah.
think of all like the Marvel movies, like the first Iron Man movie, the first Thor movie. They all had very sort of different feelings to them. They finally came together, then they figured it out. So I'm interested to see how this feels when they actually come together.
Well, we got one other movie to get to before we get to that one. There's just another Godzilla movie before that, so. But I'm ready to rate it if you are.
Yeah, sure. Let
Okay.
you go first.
So I give this movie a solid 8 out of 10.
And oh,
Yeah, an 8 out of 10. I have
eight,
fun with
an
this movie. An
eight,
eight, an eight. Maybe
eight.
it'd go down on another day, but I don't know. Right now, I'm feeling generous. I love the cast too. Let me just say that too. Like the cast is stacked, dude. You got freaking Tom Hiddleston, Brie Larson, Samuel L. Jackson, so many other actors I can't
John
remember the names
Goodman.
of. John Goodman. Look at you go. There you go. We got another one. But then there's so many side actors that you just see in movies, and you're like, dang, I know them. Dang, I know them. You know? And it's like,
I
man, this movie's stacked.
I do gotta say, the one scene that stood out to me as very cheesy was the sword scene where Tom Hiddleston gets
Oh,
tossed the sword,
yeah,
he puts on the
yeah.
mask, he's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm like, am I watching the same movie? Or this turned into like a kung fu movie? What the heck?
Yeah.
But okay,
John
I'm
C.
my
Riley, he's also in
yep, you. Um okay, yeah. Okay. Okay, so I'm giving this movie I want to give it I'll give it a 6.
Okay.
Um because like it's one of those movies where it's like it is objectively like kind of stupid, but it's also like kind of fun, you know?
It is. It is a fun time.
Yeah, it's like a fun stupid movie, which
Exactly.
all these monster movies kind of are, to be fair.
Yeah. I just have way more fun with this one than I do the first Godzilla movie. That Godzilla movie is just, man, that's a downer to get through. It's like there's more like
Okay,
just sad, depressing
here's the
things than
thing.
there's
Here's the
is
thing.
fun.
I think I think our tastes in movies are fundamentally different in that way. I like the Godzilla movie because it's like, I don't know, it felt more real and visceral. Where this one felt almost kind of like actiony and cartoony in a way.
And I like actiony and cartoony. As long as it's good. And I think this movie's
Yeah.
good. Okay.
Yeah.
Are you ready to hear what we're watching next? I think you
We
probably
are
already know.
oh crud. I can't remember what our Kung Fu Panda 3, right?
We are. And I've never
Okay.
seen this movie. I'm excited. I'm excited. I've never seen
Ooh.
it.
What
And
do
then
you
we're
know of
finished
it?
that series. What do I know about it?
Yeah.
I know his dad's in it, I think. And I
Is
think
that
his
it?
dad is played by Bryan Cranston. And if so, that's hilarious to me. Like Walter White's just gonna show up in the Kung Fu Panda universe.
We gotta watch the fourth one then
Oh,
too.
we need to cook. We need to cook some. Yeah, when the fourth one eventually comes out, we'll get to it. But for now, three's it. We're finished the series after that. So,
And it might be good, it might be bad. Who knows? We're just gonna have to go with
you
it.
know, you've seen it. But yeah, I'm just going to go with it.